Well, hello, everyone. How is everybody's Tuesday going this morning? It is October 11th, 2022. Welcome to Hangouts and Headlines. Hey, how's everybody hanging out? Everybody having an enjoyable time on the internet in the last 24 hours? I know I am. It's a good time. I'm so glad to see all of you here for Hangouts and Headlines. We're going to take it real chill this morning because everybody's just a little too feisty. And that's okay. That's okay. Reasonable minds can differ. We can chat with all sorts of things, and we'll talk about the stuff for a couple of minutes here at the top. This is not a drama channel. This is not a channel that looks to ad hominem attack or to otherwise engage with people and not ideas. So we're going to try to stick out of that a little bit. But there does come a time when your words are being twisted enough and people are trying to make hay or money or both by looking at you in a specific perspective that you got to at least say, all right, that's wrong. So we're going to talk about that for a very short time. I already saw some people in chat saying, I got too many notifications on my Twitter. I want out of this. Don't we all? Don't we all? I've said Twitter is a hellscape from which there is no escape. And maybe there is an escape if you could just cut the cord entirely. But I actually have professional contacts over there. So it's just a deal with the devil, isn't it, folks? Or maybe a deal with Elon Musk. Or maybe they're the same. Who knows on the next virtual legality? How's everybody doing this morning? We got here other folks. From my colleague circle here, Law and Lumber. I know you're prepping for a trial, man. What are you doing in YouTube chat? You pulled a Rob with the lateness this morning. It was 1 minute late. 1 minute. Good morning from Virginia. I was on time. All right. That first Lawyers and Dragons started, 15 minutes late? I give myself 15 more Robs. Oh, my goodness gracious. And I know the chat is talking about this stuff. We'll address this stuff a little bit. But, folks, you can't let internet nobodies and anonymous posters get you down. You can get maybe a little bit more down from people who know better, doing things to inflame passions. And maybe we'll talk about that. Who knows? But you can't let this stuff get you down. I say this to my family. I say this to my friends. It's all silly people online with nothing better to do, who are either misinformed intentionally or negligently. And that's going to be okay. That's going to be okay. So don't anybody worry about it. I've gotten some lovely messages. I've got some not so lovely messages. It's been a fun time. But I really appreciate all the support from you guys in here. We're already at almost 300 people, 3 minutes after 7:30 a.m. In the Eastern time zone. So we're having some fun. We're having some fun. Andy, I'm sorry you're going through this. I appreciate that, Owl Andy. That is an awesome profile picture, by the way. Don't worry about it. Okay? We're big people. We're adults. We can handle this kind of stuff. I mean, I hope that some of the messages are coming from adults, actually, because that gives me pause for like the culture and society in the world. But we're going to be okay here, right? Nothing's going to change here. Reasonable minds can differ. We don't believe in ad hominem attacks. That's not going to start in this channel or otherwise. We're going to do a little defending of ourselves because, well, sometimes that's necessary. But we are not going to change our stripes. It's going to be okay. Everybody's going to be okay. Take that from me. Tuesday, October 11th. Everything's going to be okay. And I love you all. Believe me. Let's see here. Ardo says, we don't need vitriol, fire, and brimstone every day on every issue. This is true. We can actually be reasonable sometimes until the Musk mandates come on Twitter. Elon Musk starts mandating things. You will say nice things about Tesla. In order to access your Twitter account, 3 positive tweets about Tesla must be entered into this area and will be distributed throughout your profile on the day. Who knows, right? Who knows, folks? Who knows? And I do see Lucky gifting memberships. Lucky, you're the best. Thank you. I really appreciate that. That is awesome. Folks, you got emojis with those memberships. You got all sorts of fun stuff. You got a dragon there, which we love in this space. For folks that were worried about Lawyers and Dragons, we're having our mid-season break this week, and I think we're appearing on Roll of Law on Ian's channel. I don't know. We haven't finalized those. Ian will let us know. It's Lawyers and Dragons will be fun. Lawyers and Dragons is a happy space. Lawyers and Dragons is a fun space. This channel is a happy space and a fun space. Even though we talk about some bad stuff sometimes, that's not going to change because I'm not going to change. So don't worry about it. Good morning from Southern California with the sunglasses emoji. Speaking of people that are cool, it's Chrissy Jean with her sunglasses emoji. I really like that one. That is an emoji that knows where his towel is. You get me? Yeah. Good morning from Texas. Good morning from Ohio with a whole series of colored hearts here as emojis. Thank you so much. Coffee emoji. Hopefully you're getting some caffeine, waking up a little bit. Appreciate it. I appreciate it. Look at all you guys are all sending happy super chats. I will get to those. That you're very nice. You're gonna make me cry. I really appreciate it. Morning, everyone from the Panhandle of Texas. I should not put a Texas accent on when I say that. Coffee time, Danny the insurance girl. Thank you so much. I'm glad to hear you're hanging out in Texas. Frank Hoeg, please don't blame uncivil law for what happened. We don't blame people here. First of all, everybody knows. Everybody owns their own speech. Everybody owns their own stances. Everybody owns what. Kurt's been on this channel a bunch. This is not a blame channel. This is not a drama channel. You do not have to worry, Frank. You don't have to worry. Kurt is entitled to his own opinion, the same as I am, the same as anybody else. I can only say this clearly enough. We are not them, okay? We are not going to be in this channel attacking others for their reasoned decisions. That doesn't mean we have to agree, but we don't attack. That's not what we do here, okay? So that's the corner of the internet I'm trying to build. That's the community I'm trying to build. That's not going to change. And if anything, I think the events of the last 24 to 48 hours have steeled my resolve to make sure that we carve out a place where reasoned discourse can survive, because it's not everywhere, folks. Reasoned discourse isn't everywhere, and people take advantage of that. And so we're going to continue to try to build this, because no matter what you might hear, we were getting pretty big before any other collaborations, and we continue to get big after any other collaboration. So it's going to be okay. People can believe in reason. People can believe in discourse. I believe that a lot of people that believe in those things are here, and I'm pretty excited about that. So don't you worry, Frank. This is not a blame channel. Don't you worry. Shireen just says the pancakes must have been too good, which I read as some kind of secret spy code, like the dog barks at midnight. You walk up to the East Berlin, booze house, and you say the pancakes must have been too good, and then out pops a dissident that you try to get back over the border. Good morning, Shireen. I'm in a good mood. Also, my phone is going crazy, so I take it some people are messaging me. Rob wasn't just on time. He was early. Rob's a wizard, folks. He arrives precisely when he means to. You don't have to worry about that. Here for the reasonable minds, differing reasonably, support emoji. Absolutely. That is what we are about here. I missed what happened. We're going to talk about it briefly. I'm sure it's over most of people, but we do have to talk about it just a little bit. So we'll do that at the top end of this. Then we'll get into the real important issues of the day, like Kim Kardashian. Am I right? Trying to channel some Emily D. Baker. How am I doing? I don't know. Yeah. I have questions. I can't adopt most of her taglines. So, it's a family-friendly channel. Okay, what else do we got here? My boyfriend had to tell me to put Twitter down because I was getting so PO'd. It sounds like a conversation I had with co-counsel. Look, I can't say that I'm not upset about this stuff. I think any human being would be upset about this stuff, but we're going to demonstrate for the world exactly how we can respond to things like this, right? How we can respond with positivity and reason. And yeah, we can argue against some of these things. People are attacking me. That's okay. People that have been on this channel are attacking me. That's all right. It's all right. We're going to get through this together. It's going to be fine. Runs to Twitter. Don't do it. Don't do it, Stephanie. I feel like we're in like the horror movie, right? It's October. Don't open that door. By the way, you don't need to go to Twitter. I'm going to pull up my comments page as part of the top of this. You'll be able to see what I'm dealing with, just so that folks know what non-reasoned discourse looks like, right? Or you can go to my comments right now. Particularly the latest Trees of Eternity is where people seem to have really jumped on, and you can see what's going on there. Terry, I was so sad that adults were acting this way. Right. I mean, like, you want to be sad about something. Don't do it for me. Right. I'm going to be okay. This kind of stuff can't break me. Be sad for like culture. be sad for society. That people can, even with the direct language in front of them, take an edited clip of something, turn an attack video on, and somehow make it that I'm attacking someone or laughing at their plight. This is the nature of the modern media, right? I mean, you're getting a demonstration from, unfortunately, my colleague space about exactly what we complain about here in headlines with respect to the masthead media or Christopher Bouzy and Bot Sentinel. And unfortunately, it's just so easy to see how often well-meaning people can kind of slip into this gotta drum up passion, gotta drum up super chats, gotta drum up outrage, gotta drum up money. And I feel bad for them, right? We don't have to get angry. It's like you're selling your soul for 3 ducats and somebody giving you a like. I'm sorry. I feel bad for you. I do. But that's not going to change how we operate here. So I appreciate everybody. Jess, I thought your response was reasonable and measured. We'll talk about that. Glad to see you're taking the drama well. Your positivity is one of my favorite parts of your channel. I'm too old. I'm too old to take middle school or high school drama from internet randoms too terribly seriously. Like I said, you want to talk about the people that I know, we can. And we will, not in so many names. People know what's going on. But I appreciate the support. I'm already way backed up on super chats. So it's nice. It's nice to see. And I mean that. And that's not just the money, which is wonderful. And thank you for that and supporting the channel. It's been interesting. There are people that have jumped on me, and I get, for every 3 negative DMs, I get just a delightful, wonderful DM. And so that's lovely. And I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. Lawn Lumber says what I said. Stephanie, just stay away. Mental health will send you down rabbit holes. Stay away from the Twitter. Stay away. It's okay. Only 25% of folks use Twitter. I don't even know if it's that high. What is use Twitter exactly, right? But no, it's yay. It is A-okay. Is A-okay. Kate says, Law and Lumber, you do a great job reminding us that maybe good people still exist. It's refreshing and frustratingly rare these days. I'm not going to take offense to that, Kate, because you're here. So I assume that Rob is not the only good person here. I'm just joking. Rob is fantastic. And I will tell you this. I like to say this when it's true. Rob is 1,000% exactly the same as you see him when he's public facing here in chat or on his videos or Trials of the Century or elsewise as he is behind the scenes. Absolutely 100%. So everything you see is what you get with Rob. And that's awesome. Sue Lillard, love all your positive juju. Power of hoodoo, voodoo, what? Power of the babe. And I am here for all of it. Thank you, Sue. I appreciate that. I really sincerely do. Because I will say this, dealing with it takes a lot of mental energy. I'm strong. I'm resilient. It's all good. But certainly getting hit by it every 3 minutes takes a lot of mental energy. While you're trying to draft legal documents or otherwise, and your phone is pinging every 2 seconds. So I appreciate that. It is much loved. Hoeg is good people, says Jennifer. I like to think so. I hope. We all make mistakes and we all strive and try. But I like to think that at the end of the day, when I'm sitting on my deathbed, I can say I gave it my all to add positivity and information into the universe. It's all we can do. Leafy, Fifi, Foo, reasonable minds can differ and decide whether to follow drama or not. Choosing not. Don't blame you at all. And no, I'm actually going to apologize in advance that I'm going to cover it at all at the top of the headlines or substantive section, because I don't think everybody needs to care about it. But it is important for me to at least make clear, certain things that are happening. So I apologize in advance. Let's see here. Wow, thank you. It was a close game indeed. We're talking about some North Carolina State. I watched your game, Rob. Watch your game. Hey, here for the positivity. Thank you, Kat. We're going to try to keep that up. Interaction with a sane mind. LOL. We can only hope we stay sane here, right? And this crazy thing called life and the internet. Puss version 2, not version 1. This is the update. My first super chat. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Sending you positivity and good vibes. No drama llama vibes. We do love llamas here, although the Hoeg House family favorite is actually the mighty alpaca. But we're gonna avoid drama. There's gonna be no accusations. There's gonna be no ad hominem attacks. That's not gonna happen in this space ever. Hoeg is so nice he could be a turtle. Why? I'm so excited about the turtles. He got about 3 feet from here, says Gimlet, Mr. Runkle. Decency prevails. I like the column of Hogness. Anybody that expected me to come out and attack my colleagues online, regardless of what they're saying about me, doesn't know me. It's not what I do. It's not what I do. Don't go changing to try to please me, says Charles LePage. I won't, nor will I sing songs. Crazy Catwing, thanks B for adults like you. Thank you. Questions and gavel. I appreciate it, Crazy Cat Queen. We can only try to be adults as we interact with each other on the day. That's all we can do. Good morning, Hoeg. Drinking coffee, watching Hangouts and Headlines. Good morning from Michigan. I know that state. I know that state. Matthew says, good evening from Japan as always. Good evening, Japan. It's a place I would like to visit one day. Really sorry people started attacking you of all people. Literally the most reasonable law tuber. I don't know if I'm the most reasonable. But I like to think I bring reason to the discussion. I think there's a lot of good commenters out there. I mean, I don't know that LawTuber or LawTube is a piece of vernacular I would recommend using for too terribly much longer. But I do think that I do think that I try to bring reason to the conversation. I'm glad that folks can see that. I really sincerely do. Christine Williams is a new member. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Welcome to the membership. Check out the new emojis. Have fun with them. Christine says, Michigan loves Hogan family. Livonia thinks you're rad. I just like that you put rad in there. I like to say things are rad. It really annoys my daughters. 3 smiling, blushing emojis. Livonia's right next door to me, for folks that don't know. That is awesome. Thank you, Christine. I really appreciate it. Morning from rural Ontario. So what exactly did I miss? What did I miss? Oh, darn it. I just said I wasn't going to sing. Man. All right. What can you do? I guess what can I say, folks? I broke trust there. I'm a snake. We allow reasonable minds to differ. We do. And the unfortunate part of all of this is no matter what kind of passion or vitriol you show, a lot of this just comes down to you didn't say what I wanted you to say. And I'm owed that. Or really more specifically, because I don't think the subject in question here has said that, I am a hanger-on that needs to go and get street cred somehow. And so I'm going to say that you didn't say enough for this third party. And it just turns out that a lot of folks that I have actually interacted with on panels and whatnot don't believe that reasonable minds can differ, or believe that I'm lying and that my position isn't reason, which I can assure you is not the truth. Because as I also said, all we have here in the creation community is our reasoned, honest opinion, is transparency, is talking about what we actually believe. And a lot of what's happened here is an intimation that I'm somehow hiding how I believe, which I've never done a day in my life or a day here on YouTube. And that's a real sense of entitlement, right? That I should be giving you exactly what you want. And if I don't, I can unleash the hounds, Mr. Burns style. It's an interesting set of affairs. But that's just what we have to live with. We live in the real world. We live in reality. And so we have to figure out how to navigate it and how to navigate it together and hopefully increase the level of people that actually do look for that reasoned discourse and that do understand that if somebody differs from your opinion, like was brought up earlier in this video, like Kurt differs with mine on the topic at hand, that we can look at that and say, I understand how you got there, bud. I understand how you are arriving at that decision, that conclusion that you want to reach. I think it's wrong. I think that you are thinking about this the wrong way. And yet you're still a person. We have a disagreement on an idea. That's okay. Folks, reasonable minds can differ means that somebody that has the exact opposite opinion of you, which Kurt doesn't. Kurt just has kind of a tangential adjacent opinion to me. Someone that has the exact opposite opinion of you could still be operating in good faith, is still entitled to their humanity, and is still entitled to be thought of as a person. That's what it means. And that's not going to change. That's not a brand. That's on stickers and things. I love it, right? We put it on the water bottle because we believe it. We believe in the photo of Antonin Scalia and Ruth Bader Ginsburg on an elephant together that disagree mightily on basically everything on earth and still see the inherent humanity in each other. That's what we believe here. And it's not going to change. It's not going to change. I'm going to get this complete pronunciation wrong. I'm going to go with Lakmulanchen 11. I'm sure I mumbled that horribly. You seem less mad than I am. Kind of angry, teeth grindy emoji. I'm like the Hulk a little bit, right? Like if I'm upset, I want to make sure that that doesn't change the discourse of the conversation that I'm having. Of course I'm upset. This isn't fun for anybody. But, you know, what we can do is we can use our reasoned faculties. We can use the humanity that we have to try to make sure that that doesn't just come out as anger or screams or things of that nature, right? We don't have to be that guy. And so we won't be. There you go. Danny, accent forgiven. I hide mine most of the day. Sometimes I just see Texas and I just want to talk about chili. You know, I mean, it's just the way I am. Now I want chili. It's a little early in the day for that, but I appreciate it, Danny, the insurance girl. New member in Akaruki. Thank you so much, Akaruki. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the emojis and that you remember for a long time. It's awesome. We got lots of people talking about lots of things. Let's see here. Britt, every day my decision from years ago to never start a Twitter account seems to be one of the smartest ideas ever. Can't say you're wrong, Britt. I still find it one of the most destructive things humans have ever created. Well, I mean, the thing is, Twitter is not responsible for this one. So it really would have just been the same kind of thing without a communications pathway. It's kind of helped by Twitter, instant communication of very small bits with people that maybe don't necessarily want to learn or want to engage with material in any kind of long form basis. But I can hardly blame Twitter for this, other than the fact that there are so many people that like to send attack messages. What can you do? What can you do? I believe if you don't know him personally, then don't take it personal. That pretty much covers all the internet for me. LOL. Yeah, random name calls me names. Calls out my my body image, shortens my name to just have pictures of hogs everywhere. Folks, I gotta tell you, the internet is a goofy place. But I've been hearing all of that crap since at least the 8th grade class president election, which I won. So, you know, don't worry about it. I like it. You had like a boar and like a boar in a business suit being like saying like this hog stinks or something. And I was like, well, that's pretty good. But like, if you lose the entire connection to my name, is that even a meme about me anymore? I mean, I think we really got to workshop these things, folks. Don't worry about it. But it was pretty cool. A boar in a business suit is pretty badass. Sorry for the French, of course, people, but it is. Crazy Cat Queen, great minds discuss ideas. Average minds discuss events. Average minds discuss people. Just going to leave this right here. Yeah, look, we could talk about ideas. We could talk about messaging. We're going to do that for a few minutes. I apologize still in advance. Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and call myself a great mind. What I will say is I think focusing on the ideas and the discussion about substance is really where things should live. Absolutely. Co-counsel here, just with Twitter's a gateway to hell. Thanks, co-counsel. Feeling good this morning? Shireen, I'm sad for the vile comments from Legal Mindset. He brought Hoeg's family into it, and that was too far, did he? See, folks, the other thing about it is I have no idea what was said about me overnight, right? Like, at certain levels, you know what you stand for. You know what you said. And you don't need edited clips of angry people in the various Koreas to tell you what that is. I mean, I think the thing that's driving folks the most nuts is that and I'll go over this again in a couple minutes. I looked at what I said. I said, hey, all right, let's go over this stuff. Because I was getting some heat. I don't regret anything that I said in terms of my perspective. So at that point, you're faced with a conundrum, right? All right, so do I lie? Do I fall on a sword and pretend to be apologetic for some of these things? No. That any value that I have as an opinion maker and a content creator is in honesty and transparency. So, okay. So we'll go and explain why people are misinformed, why they're getting things wrong. And again, we don't need to talk about specifics from people. Obviously, I mean, if there are attacks on family, I guess I'll have to go check on them. But it's like ad hominem times 2. It's not a reasoned thinker that makes those kinds of accusations or combinations. It's not reason. And so I can't get too upset about it. I can't get too worried about it. except to just be sad for people that find themselves having to make those claims, ostensibly in defense of free speech by arguing against someone that just didn't say what they wanted them to say. It's kind of strange if you really think about it, but that's okay. It is. Thanks, Shireen, for at least highlighting that for me. The Don Designs, not blaming, but all this drama is so silly. Isn't it? Isn't it? Do what you do best, and I will stay in this community right here. Thank you. Thank you, Don. I really appreciate it. God, we are not becoming a drama channel. At no point in ever have I ever wanted this to be anything remotely like a drama channel. That just seems like a sad way to make a living. So no, that's not going to happen here. And we're going to still, even with people, potentially, and I don't know this for a fact, right? We just saw the chat just now. Even with people bringing my family into it, it's like, I mean, what is wrong with your thinking there, right? What is wrong with your reasoning at that level? So, oh well, we'll have to figure these things out together, folks, but we'll still be here. Don't worry about that. Daniel Izzo became a new YouTube member. Thank you so much, Daniel. I hope you enjoy the membership. That is awesome for the support. Let's see here. Law of improbability. I just saw a video blaming Hoeg for Ricada. We're gonna get into this. I promise. I think the people involved don't understand that the arbitrary and capricious standard doesn't apply to private companies, albeit unfair. I fundamentally, what I think I have ascertained, and this is a little bit of willful ignorance on the part of many, is that my statement that YouTube can do what it wants is not a statement of support. It's a statement of warning. Right? Folks that know me, that know virtual legality and know this space, know that while I believe in the freedom to contract, and we're using somebody else's platform that has a lot of technology and a lot of capital built into it, and that's pretty cool, understands that those folks can have terms of service. What I do here is to establish when you should be wary of them. Just yesterday, I did a video on how these PayPal terms of service that they tried to put into their acceptable use policy are ridiculous and folks should be aware of it. And I get all these comments like, well, but if somebody had said something that you didn't like, you'd be entirely in favor of PayPal doing that, right? It's like, no, I wouldn't be in favor of it. Listen, learn, understand. I would say that they have the ability to do that. Probably. They actually are getting pretty close to forfeiture laws, which we could talk about if it came to it. But that they have the ability to put that in their contract, and then you have the ability to decide whether you're going to use PayPal, and that people should be aware of these things and not put money in PayPal. Or if you're concerned about YouTube being too arbitrary and capricious, understand that and not build your livelihood on that, right? That YouTube can and has shown they will do these things, and so you need to be wary. But people hear what they want to hear, right? I mean, in that same video that wasn't clipped out, I say it would be a shame if Nick's channel wasn't brought back. People don't care. People wanted some kind of full-throated Sam from the Muppets, full-on trumpet blazing thing, and I can only be me. I can only analyze this and say, I don't know, folks. Can I imagine him crossing the line? Have I watched all 500 hours of what he did in the last month? I can't imagine that. No, I haven't watched that. I don't have the data. And so, yeah, I'm sorry. I can't commit to your position, and I can't commit to Kurt's position of I've been on a panel with this person. I know he couldn't have done something that riled YouTube up. Do I love that YouTube operates that way? No, I say that. It's the first thing I said, and we'll talk about that. But people hear what they want to hear. They get mad because they want to get mad. I don't know whether that's something in their lives or not. What can you do, right? Ultimately, you can throw your shoulders up and you can say, okay, all right. Folks, if you want to leave nasty comments, you're free to do so. If you want to DM me, you're free to do so. I mean, it's a little bit on deaf ears, especially if I don't know you. But if you want to send me nasty images of hogs, that's okay. I feel for you. That's all right. But it's not going to change what we do here, which is reasonable minds can differ. They always will, and we're never going to change. Brisk fall in, I wanted to say Notre Dame, but that's not right. We got to be talking about North Dakota, right, Becca? I love brisk fall. I love that. Kelly, I've noticed the person that heads that clips channel likes to clip things in certain ways to push drama. Well, I mean, yeah, that was it. Like, what was it? Like a 10-minute conversation, and it was clipped to come after me. It's okay. It's okay. I mean, I think you can judge what we talk about here in headlines and media manipulation and rhetoric and things like that for yourself. And you can look at that clip and say, actually, Rick, I think you're wrong. That's okay, too. The whole goal of headlines and having these conversations is not just fun times, although I really like those. It's hopefully all of us together continuing to hone our ability to critically think about topics of interest. So hopefully if we're doing that, you can look at one of those things and say, oh, it's a slam cut and it's organized in this particular way. And clearly that's a joke and those kinds of things. Or you can say, wow, Rick's a real duplicitous guy. And you can come to that conclusion because that's your right. I'm never going to push what you should conclude on these things. And hopefully that makes the world a stronger place and we're reasoning through more and more ideas together. Let's see here. Jamie Havenian, man, I'm sure I killed that, Jamie. I'm sorry. Has become a YouTube member. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That is awesome. That is awesome. Have an enjoyable membership. Enjoy the emojis. Thank you for the support. I really appreciate it. StreamYard just hiccups at me. WD Prescott, Hoeg, I think it's even something smaller, and depending on your view, worse. It's a see, I'm right, I told you so. We've created a society where drastic acceptance fights drastic denial. And yeah, I said, and we'll talk about this in a minute, or not, because you guys are continuing to hit me with super chats, and you're awesome, all of you. Effectively what I said is I don't have enough data, and I can imagine a world in which lines were crossed, and I can imagine a world in which YouTube acted crazy. And that's what I told people. That's the truth. That's my stance. I can't change that because you want me to change it, because if I'm lying, what value do I have? Let's see here. Well, my team just learned a trial attorney promised a federal judge we'd produce 200,000 docs by Friday from Daniel Izzo. I feel your pain, Daniel. I haven't had to produce documents like that at that amount. But I did have to do diligence review of like 200 of those Iron Mountain boxes in like 3 days, I think. That was one of my real fun all-nighters. So much love to you, much sympathy. Good luck on that one. This channel is so calming, says Kim. That's what I hear from the internet. I hear that Hoeg. He's a calming presence. We love him. Law of improbability. I really want to hear a nice, clear explanation for why the APA's arbitrary and capricious standard doesn't apply to YouTube as it isn't a common carrier, because it isn't a common carrier. Common carriers are creatures of statute and statutory regulation. It might become one. But right now, the structure of the internet is that it is an interactive computer service for purposes of Communications Decency Act Section 230. And you can definitely advocate to have that changed. In fact, we do see things like a concurrence from Justice Thomas saying maybe we should look at this again. Now, he's not in the legislature, so the legislature is really the place where that should be looked at again. But right this second, YouTube's not a common carrier. Twitter's not a common carrier. No matter how many times someone yells the new modern square, public square, or whatever, that is not how these things are treated as actual organizations. Right this second. So if you want to see that changed, absolutely advocate for change. I would probably back you depending on what the change looked like. But we can only analyze what the law is right now. And right now, YouTube has every right to do that. It's built in their terms of service. And I look at it and say, okay, well, we're on somebody else's platform. We're in somebody else's neighborhood. And if they get mercurial or arbitrary and capricious, we'll call them out as we see it. But 100%, they have the right to be all these terrible things. And that's important for people to know. Nick knows this. There's a reason he's on multiple platforms, and Nick is no dummy. That I said. I said it on this channel. I said it on Alita's channel. I said, well, look, he can stream on these other places. Nobody has a right to stream on a given platform, and those platforms can be ridiculous. And that goes for me too. People say, well, who will come save you if you get killed? I say, I don't know. I don't know what it'll look like if that happens to me from the YouTube side of things. But I do know that it's possible. And, I don't put all my eggs in a basket that lives on somebody else's network. Right. Like that's not how I operate. Neither did Nick. This is not like a revelation for people that content create. But there you go. Nicholas, I've never seen that if you're not 100% with me, you're 100% against me mentality lead to anything constructive. I was too old for that stuff. 30 years ago. It is funny. If I were a little bit more spicy on Twitter, I'd just be putting up the picture of like Anakin Skywalker from the end of Revenge of the Sith yelling, "If you're not with me, you're against me." It's like, I don't know what to tell you people. Oh, geez, drama. I'm glad I missed it. So am I, Gina. So am I. I'm sorry to bring it into your life even a little bit. Even a little bit. Rob says he's happy to be here, but can you trust him? No, you're an ad hominem. Law of improbability, I told you to stop it. Let's see here. Crazy Cat, Queen, Nicholas, Unionist, Labor Law, Santa. Oh, did you add Santa to the end of that? Oh, cool. Well said. Nothing about humans are ever 100%. It's all about circumstances and risk reward. Just the human condition, I suppose. This is not a risk reward analysis. Here's the thing. What's really funny, right, is one of the attack vectors on me is funny. It's like, well, you were too scared to say something that could cost you subscribers. The easiest thing in the world to do is be like, yes, absolutely, 100% from, the side of YouTube with all the subscriber base and with an audience that is clearly willing to just become attack dogs at a moment's notice. The easiest thing in the world to do is that. I didn't do that. This makes me a coward. It's a strange bit of logic, but it's the logic all the same. Thank you, Crazy Cat Queen. What else we got? Kyle A. Kiekendveld. Close? That one felt close. The problem with militant politics is everyone else has to be the bad guy. It's depressing. Reasonable minds can't be militant. I tend to agree that you wind up tribalizing all of your conversations, and that isn't a great idea. As I've said here, you're never going to find a culture warrior in me. You're never going to find someone that puts people in buckets or labels or does those kinds of things to get through my analysis. And if that's not what you are looking for from your commentary, by all means, yes, 100%, go find what works for you. Maybe it'll be Nick's channel. Maybe it'll be somewhere else. But we're going to look at things a different way. And we're going to try to bring Reasonable Minds Can Differ to as many people as possible. If that doesn't work for you, 1,000%. Unsubscribe, leave a nasty comment on your way out. It's okay. And that's going to be all right with me. So hopefully we can continue to kind of find that core, bring it up to having more of those reasoned conversations in more places across the internet. And I'll stand for that until I stop doing this. Absolutely. I think it is people don't understand the right legal standard for YouTube is contract, not administrative law. Yes. And I also think it's that people don't care. Right. And they also read into YouTube has the right to do it as YouTube should do it. YouTube should have the right to do it. And my analysis is always facts first. This is what YouTube can do. This is what YouTube has been historically allowed to do. You want to change that 100%. But that, when I say things like, don't make me defend YouTube in a laughing manner, it's because it's obvious that YouTube doesn't deserve or need defending. And yet the argument that I'm being faced with completely eviscerates what are the contract rights the platform has. So we have to at least talk through the whole issue in order to get a complete understanding of these things. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people that just want to jump straight to the feels as kind of the understanding here. And that, I thought, is what we're not about in terms of legal analysis here on YouTube, right? The feels, right? I'm not going to jump in and say, I know this person, I've interacted with them, so they must be right. Same as I would say, I know this person, I've interacted with them, so they must be wrong, right? He's a friend, so he's right is the same problem, and he's an enemy, so he's wrong. And that is not the way I think it's appropriate to analyze. But reasonable minds can differ on this kind of stuff even there. So you don't need to attack anybody's humanity for having a different set of standards. 100%. See else here. Rob jumping in. Good life lesson there. Don't look for self-worth from the internet. Folks, put it on a shirt. Live your life. And I've always enjoyed the phrase, you do you, boo-boo. I think Ghostblade said that to me once. Because I believe I inquired as to what a boo-boo was. Yeah, guys, folks. You don't know the people on the other end of that thing. It's hurtful. It's angry. It's upsetting. But chances are, whatever they're going through, the reason that they find themselves communicating with a stranger in such a negative way, their stuff's probably bigger than yours anyway. So I just say, okay, You know what? If you needed to work that out in that space, that's all right. It's all right. Kareen, I'm so far back. I have no idea when we're getting to these headlines, folks. It's okay to have different views, but when facts are present, shouldn't that be acknowledged? I like all, but I understand why they were upset at you. Well, folks, as I've said, I am a content creator, right? So, I mean, one of the things I think there's also kind of an area of perhaps misunderstanding is this notion that we're all 100% aware of what each other are doing, right? So the last time I was on Nick's stream was, I believe, late last year or top of this year. So you're talking about 9 or 10 months. And I don't watch his content. I mean, you can see that, we have different philosophies in how to interact with our audiences. And as I said, as we will see, I want more voices to be out there. I want Nick to have a channel. I want everybody to be able to have a community and converse with that. Even if I think some of the aspects of the philosophy there are wrong, I think people should be able to have that platform for themselves. But it does mean that lawyers on YouTube, even ones that I know or have interacted with, are putting something like hundreds of hours of content out. I want to say per week, but it might be like per day or per couple days. And in this particular instance, this was not the topic of the video. So the video that I did originally on my channel was 2 hours long or whatever. It was about Rust and Brings to Power. And this was like 3 minutes because I knew people were asking me about it. I was getting a bunch of DMs. I hadn't been online for 3 days because my eyes had gone crazy. I addressed it. I said I didn't have enough information, and I moved on. That was my crime. I don't know. I still don't know. People want to tell me what happened, but I'm always looking for source material that is stronger than, he said this, that somebody's cousin said at the 31 Flavors last night, and I still haven't seen that. So it's a matter of, I don't have enough to speak on something. People are asking me to speak on it. Your choices at that point are, hey, I'll say this, right? YouTube's big and bad. They're mercurial by nature. I suspect, these various things. We'll talk about these statements in just a second. And I want more voices there. Like it is a statement that says, people are asking me these questions. I want to talk about this because people are interested, but I don't have enough to commit one way or the other. And that's, to me, that's a lawyer's statement. But if people want to be upset because, I didn't deign to do the research, that's okay. I don't actually owe people that research. And that's where things get a little bit caught up as well. I don't owe people the stance that they want me to take. I don't owe people my judgment because I appeared on a stream for a few days in November of last year. And I know that's hard to take for some folks, but that's the case. I try to eliminate my biases. I try to relate to data and facts. I think that's what people liked about me when we were covering Depp v. Heard. And that doesn't change because I know someone, because to me, that's just selling out your judgment and selling out your interest because you have a personal or business relationship with somebody. So I am sorry if that disappoints folks. I really legitimately am, right? But I can only be me. We can only do what's best in our eyes. And that's the analysis that I put forth. And people that want me to kind of lie, people that are essentially intimating that I'm hiding my true feelings, it's not the case. I've given my analysis and I stand by it 100%. Sorry about that. Spenju became a YouTube member. Hopefully I didn't just absolutely destroy that name as well. A lot of interesting, fun names coming out today. Thank you so much for supporting the channel and for becoming a member. What else here? Prototopics, David, jumping in with the important points of all of this. Brings of Power is still bad. Team Sauron. I did see somebody comment on our video, David, said I'm pronouncing Sauron wrong. I know this. I've said it as Sauron my entire life. As it turns out, when you read books, that's how it works. You get these pronunciations in your head. I used to call Coruscant Coruscant because it came out in books before the prequels were put out there in Star Wars, and I had no idea how to say that word. I thought it was a made-up word completely. And so it was Coruscant for a long time because that's how it's spelled. That's how it looks. And I know my sisters, for instance, learned how to say Hermione because it looks like what Hermione or something like that for people that aren't otherwise familiar with it from the Harry Potter series. So I know I pronounced Sauron wrong. It's okay. Hoeg calming the chat is life. Like Hoeg more for this response. Thank you, Shireen. I appreciate it. Hey, we're all people here. We're all people, even people that are mean to me. That's okay. You're still a people. Britt says 8th grade election that you won. You're darn right, Britt. We're bringing the receipts here. I knew you were a politician. You cannot hide it now. I'm going to clip that said election that I won and put it everywhere because you said it, lol. Yes, I was laughing at the plights of others while talking about my massive political victories. Ooh, brand new breaking Hoeg story. They're going to be really disturbed to find out that my election poster was "Don't be a hog, vote for Hoeg." Sorry, man. I think we're maybe caught up. Oh, with your birds, a YouTube member. Thank you, with your birds. Welcome to the community. I really appreciate the support. Hopefully, you have a great time. Crazy Cat Queen edit. Dang it! The last line of that quote is supposed to be "Small minds disgust people." I blame the lack of caffeine. It was like what? It was like average minds twice. I thought it was affecting. Don't you worry about it, Crazy Cat Queen. Thank you so much for the support. Daniel Izzo. This is the way things are, whether you like it or not, is probably the most common advice lawyers give. Yes. The YouTube has these rights is the very standard. Client sits across the desk from you and says, what's going on here? Here's what the statute is. Here are your obligations. Here's your potential exposure. And a lot of the times the client is like, well, why is it that way? And what's funny about that from the lawyer's perspective is like, I didn't write them, man. I did not write these bills. They are stupid. This is a problem. This is overly costly. I did not work with this third-party agency. I am not doing this to you, but you are hiring me to help navigate that, right? So people ask me that question. Here's the analysis. You got to watch out for YouTube. They're crazy. They're big. They're bad. They're a black box. They are mercurial. And you know this, right? That's why you're on multiple platforms. Oh, my goodness. All right. Apple pie. I can only be me. And that's what we're here for. What's the value in me if I just lie and change whatever my stripes are in order to appease the mob? What is the value in that person's opinion, right? Limited. That's Sarah. There you go, being reasonable again. I do try. Kyle became a new member. Thank you so much, Kyle. I appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoy your membership. Thank you for the support of the channel. What else we got here? First of all, I saw, yes, North Dakota, not Notre Dame. I assume North Dakota. For whatever reason, it's college football season, right? ND just reads his Notre Dame to me to begin with, but hopefully you're having a good morning in North Dakota. Britt, last SC before I have to go to work. Good luck with your work day, Britt. Just a call back to my SC from yesterday on misunderstandings and misinformation. Seems like it was just a day early. LOL. What can you say? Misinformation seems to be a market industry and not just a mistake. Leanne G became a new member. Thank you so much, Leanne. I really appreciate the support. Hopefully you have a wonderful time in the community. I got Ian in the chat as well. Hey, Ian, good morning. Hopefully you're having a good time. I got Scott Cardinal in the chat. Hey, Scott. Hopefully you are having a good time hanging out with us. Absolutely. Let's see here. Love and probabilities. Talking aviation fanatic. I see something similar in the divide between some academic lawyers and practitioners. I saw a slam dunk case against Scientology wasted by an academic trying her pet theory in court. What's funny is, I think I've said this before, right? One of the criticisms, you get every job I think does this, but you get your end of the year kind of evaluations. What's your new salary going to be? Are you going to get a bonus? That kind of stuff. And one of my main criticisms, I think I got this multiple years in a row, was effectively like too academic, too worried about the specifics of the statute or the reading or the brief or whatever, than the practicalities of it. Now, I always thought that was unwarranted because I'm client first in every instance, but it was clear that the way I approached concepts and what I did at the firm was seen as maybe a couple notches too academic. We'll just stick with that. People checking in on Ian after his hospital visit. Awesome. As far as I know, Ian's feeling much better, so that is great. And I think I'm like 20 minutes behind here, so we're just going to scroll through this together. Midnight Dreary, been watching you since The Last of Us Part 2. Always enjoy your content. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you so much, Midnight Dreary. I love the profile image, especially here in October. It's a very October-y, Halloween-y profile image. Crazy Cat Queen, never make fun of someone if they mispronounce a word. It means they learned it by reading. How is Sauron supposed to be said? It's like Sauron, right? I think that's never going to stick in my head. It's never going to hear it because, you hear it in media now, but you hear it in media with British accents. So that you always have to consider that you need to think about how that pronunciation works if you de-accent it for yourself anyway. So Sauron. I am sorry, people that are disappointed that I call it Sauron, but not nearly as disappointed as David is that we're talking about Sauron. That's Sarah. How dare you be so reasonable and considered, sir? Smiling, laughing on the floor emoji. Guilty as charged. I'm going to have to go with that. Guilty as charged. Cat became a YouTube member. Quite literally. The profile is of a cat from a person named Cat. Cat, thank you for joining the community. I really appreciate it. And the support for the channel. You guys are just chatting up a storm. One day I will get to the end here. I think I did it. Okay. So we went about 20 minutes longer than we usually do to get to the headlines at all. And we've got a couple of minutes left because nobody who has not been following this understands at all what I'm even talking about. So we're just going to talk about it really briefly. We're not going to do this very long. That's the wrong layout because we sized them to be differently. So I put this in the community post. We're not going to go over every word here, but you can see what I wanted to talk about here. And basically, the drama is, as you could probably glean just from listening to the first 40 minutes of this episode, that I didn't jump in full-throatedly with respect to Mr. Ikeda losing his channel, which I still think is a shame, and I said that in this quote. And all I point out here, you can check this out for yourself. You can also check it out if you prefer the internal hellscape that is Twitter here, was in response to people saying that, as Umbrella Guy backed his banning, that in no way was I backing any YouTube bannings. I was explaining how they work and what the rights are. And so this is all old news to folks that are here with me in Hangouts and Headlines, because you heard me talk about this, looks like October 6th. And I said things like, I have to say, much like some of the other stories we talked about this morning as we're prepping things, I'm wildly underinformed on what happened or what drove this particular action. And that reason is because I wasn't online for the prior 3 days because my eyes couldn't look into a camera. Hi, Keylight. So I'll say what I usually say on this, which is that YouTube, obviously a private company, can decide what it wants to affiliate itself with. But my biggest issue with the platform is a kind of black box mercurial nature. Many of you might already remember hearing me say that. What just happened? I don't know. Here's a form letter. We take you down midstream and these kinds of things. It's an absolute BS relationship that you have with YouTube. So I'll be looking into it. I know a lot of folks, want me to make a big speech or something along those lines. I'll say this. There are ways to piss off YouTube. There are ways to get in trouble here. And there are ways that that's deserved. And there are ways that are not, right? You can absolutely imagine somebody crossing a line and saying, yeah, of course, YouTube doesn't want to be affiliated with that kind of content. And then the question becomes philosophically, are you okay with a platform having the ability to say that we don't want to be affiliated with this content? Some of my colleagues, reasoned colleagues, say, no, those platforms shouldn't be allowed to do that. They are allowed to do it as of right now. And apparently the request here was for me to advocate that they shouldn't be allowed to do it in the future. That's a policy prescription. And so what I'm looking at here is what YouTube has the right to do. I actually even go so far, which is, if you've been in Virtual Legality or Hangouts and Headlines or heck, even Lawyers and Dragons with me, I even go a little bit on the speculative path, which I don't like doing, and say, I suspect that Nick pushed some buttons and probably got an unfair mob against him. Now malefactors here read this as push some buttons at YouTube or politically, noting or not noting that I talk about it as an unfair mob because I was hearing these kinds of signals, but I don't know what YouTube knows. I don't know what anybody knows. And the problem with YouTube, which is what I'm saying here, is that I don't think that the actual subjects get the proper transparency on these either. So this is not me blaming Nick. I don't think Nick has the information here. I don't know for sure. I will say this: YouTube is not always fair in its determinations. It's clearly me being in favor of YouTube and bans. So I totally get where everybody's coming from. So this is skipping. There's a section here in this speech where I talk about the fact that YouTube struck me, if you might recall, for harassment and cyberbullying in a completely ridiculous way. I fought YouTube. YouTube eventually rescinded it. Okie doke. But YouTube didn't have to rescind it. I didn't have to win that fight with logic, because YouTube reserves the right to decide on these things on its own. And it was after that video where I said, okay, well, we need to make sure that we've got a Patreon going, that we've got a Utreon going, that we're moving things over to other platforms, because I can't trust this one. And so I say I totally get where everybody's coming from. I saw him post the thing where he says he's banned. I saw people ask me the questions. I want more voices to be out there having conversations. Reasonable minds can differ. I cannot speak to what the specifics are here. And I think one of the problems there is I'm not sure it can speak to what the specifics are, because I don't think YouTube has told them. So everybody's kind of reacting in a vacuum, which is, as I've said, exactly what I think is inappropriate for lawyers to do. But I will continue to say I want more voices out there. And this has been translated into this kind of, I am entirely in favor of Nick Rekieta going away. And it's just so silly, because I don't think that anybody that looks at this kind of conversation with a good faith notion looks at it and says, this guy, because it's not what I'm saying at all. Now, some folks say, hey, look, Rick, I think you should have supported him a little bit more. More power to you. That's okay. I can only say what I believe, certainly in that moment, and going forward. And we don't have to agree on that. But I do think that kind of the attacking, to look at this particular situation, ironically enough, as you are not supporting this person who did things or said things in the face of an outrage mob, and that is a violation of the precepts of free speech. So because you said this thing we don't like, we are going to engage in attacks and outrage mob mentality to evidence our support of freedom of speech. Rings a little hollow, right? It rings a little hollow. But I don't begrudge anybody any of this stuff, right? So if you go and you look at my comments, folks, you get all the Hoeg Law, you are spineless and weak. It's true, actually. I have no spine to speak of. It's actually a physical deformity. So when you call me a jellyfish, it's actually just the truth. I go transparent at night. What can you say? But Hoeg, it's just not the zinger that you think it is, folks. Backstabber. I don't know what to tell you. This is the stuff with you can fix it by closing your channel, et cetera, et cetera. Things about my weight. I'm a heavy guy. It's going to be okay. We're going to get through that too. You get together, folks. All this stuff. I'm laughing at him. So this comes from an interesting portion of the elitist stuff. This is what clips can do for you. One of the things I'm laughing about is, and I'm going to say this was inelegantly done. Right. We go live for whatever. On Thursday, October 6th alone, I think I did 6 hours of taping. I was trying to establish the notion that I just explained to you, which was, look, Nick, and I think he'd say this about himself, is an aggressive, kind of deliberately offensive guy. It's kind of the stance that he takes. And yes, he generally keeps our names out of his mouth in respect to the colleagues on LawTube. But of course, we know who he's talking about with respect to any complaints that he has. And I jokingly said, well, yeah, no, he's made fun of me 30 or 50 times. Obviously 30 or 50 of being a hyperbolic joke type number, but indicative of the fact that what I'm trying to articulate is like, look, I know Nick enough to know that since I haven't seen everything he's done, it's possible he crossed the line and pissed somebody at YouTube off. And since I can't commit to saying that didn't happen, we have to talk about what the actual structure of YouTube is and what these various things. In that very same discussion, I say, I think he's not going to get his channel back. And I said it in this channel as well. I hope I am wrong, and that would be a shame. But that's not enough for some people. And that's a shame. Right. One of the things I say in this thread that I was talking about is that, look, it's a shame. It's a shame that some view that as an appropriate vector for attacking me. But if my work is to have any value at all, it has to be in giving my true and honest opinion on things, especially when it's not what fans, commenters, or colleagues necessarily want to hear. Right. That is the value of an opinion maker. That is the value of a content creator. And if there is a disturbing part of this for me, it's this notion that I need to conform or be attacked, because that's not the way to have good and enlightening conversations. Don't worry about me. I'm not going to change. But make no mistake, this kind of thing is intended to foster a chilling effect on my speech, which, as I said before, is ironic. But if you want to leave nasty comments over here, absolutely. Go nuts. You can get out whatever you have going on in your life here in my comment section. It's absolutely fine with me. I approve. And really, you want to say Ricada is greater than Hoeg? Don't blame you. Certainly got a lot more subscribers than me, so who am I to talk, right? In any event, I prefer to go with Taito here. I'm tired of this drama. I'm tired of it too. Let's talk about somebody that is drama-free in Kim Kardashian. Folks, I'll let everybody else get their chats out right now. If you want to add anything to this, now is the time to do it. I'm going to give like a 5-minute window here, and then we're not talking about this anymore today. So if you've got any more comments on this, let me know. Here's that, Sarah. We're going to do this. I'm putting a timer on this. When I saw LB's stream start with you, Kurt, and her on screen, I thought, uh-oh, something's about to go down because it gave vibes of the DUI guy situation and seemed like she wanted backup. No, she invited me to talk about it because we were talking about what was actually in that episode. We were talking about things that I knew about. We were talking about Rust. We were talking about Elon Musk. So yeah, if she wanted backup, she wanted me to be able to talk about Elon Musk and Twitter a little bit more. And then it was only right before when we were doing the pre-show that we knew that we wanted to talk about the questions and comments that were being raised. So that, no, there's none of that. That's reading into it. It was just the nature of the beast on that, unfortunately. But I appreciate it. I know how things can look certain ways from the outside. I can go show you that the exact invite from Alita was, I'm talking about Elon Musk, and I'm talking about Rust. I know you did a Rust video, et cetera, et cetera. Do you want to be on this? Do you want to be on this stream? And I said, sure. So that's what we did. That's all that happened on that particular stream. Let's see here. Leanne G. So the straight people are canceling you for not publicly defending a creator who is against cancel culture. They don't see the irony in that. That appears to be accurate. Yes. And I do want to say this, right? I haven't seen everything that everybody has said, frankly, because it's unhelpful. And it's unhealthy for my mental state. Right. There was a very angry stream for about 5 hours on Sunday night. Apparently there was an overnight stream from somebody that I've actually shared a panel with this last overnight. And, you know, look, like I said, if that's the way you feel you need to keep your lights on or feed your family, then you do what you got to do. But I do feel pity for you. Absolutely. But yes, that's the irony, right? That's the irony. That's what I said. No, it wasn't a full-throated endorsement. No, it wasn't a call for the acceptability of the ban. And that was enough. I think probably because they didn't have somebody that was more obvious to attack. So what's the joke? You don't have to be faster than the bear. You just have to be faster than your friend. Hey, if I get in trouble for speaking the truth, speaking my analysis as I see it, so be it. I'm never gonna apologize for that. LB is Legal Bites. Everyday cowgirl, standing ovation for your point of view. People get mad when you won't conform. I'm a nonconformist. This is why I listen. Well, I'm not being deliberately nonconformist here, but as it turns out, the cheese stands alone. What can I say? Let's see here. I found everyone through EDB covering the Haley Page lawsuit. Yeah, Emily D. Baker. That's awesome. Fantastic. I was very disappointed with Tug's position, but it is what it is. Yep. He is entitled to his position just as all of us are entitled to ours. I am not ever going to attack the person that actually makes the position. As I said, even if what I've heard is true from folks like Legal Mindset are out there, like I said, you got to put food on the table. You do you, boo-boo, as Rob would say. But I don't have to respect it. And that doesn't mean we're going to do ad hominem attacks. Sardonisms, I don't think member milestone chats show up. They do not, Sardonism. So if you wrote it separately, I'm very sorry. It's flying on the side here. I'm going to make the joke here. You owe CDPR for my follow, so you can't express any skepticism about their games. Oh, my God. I have violated that. Joking. I'm skeptical AF. I hope you got to see the Bitcast this past weekend because we did talk about the CDPR announcements, and I'm actually more optimistic than like 99% of the internet on the CDPR announcements, which is funny to me. But yeah, that is awesome. Yeah, a lot of people look. Some of this is like ego stuff, right? And not all of this is coming from the subjects. Here's one thing I will say, right? I do think at a certain level you cultivate your community, but I will never blame you for what your community does, right? So I don't want to be on the hook for what, the 100,000 of you could potentially do. I don't want to be on the hook for that, because I am certain that there are some people that would take it too far, and do attacks that I wouldn't back up. So I'm not going to hold that against you. But there is a strain of, Nick made this channel. And that I did see on the video from Sunday night, that Nick basically said, well, I'm not denying that. And I do think it's important to note that before I ever was on any of these streams, I had been working at this job for 3 years. I had 45,000 subscribers, and I'm very appreciative of being invited to those streams. But I left with about 5,000 more subscribers than I came in with. And that is awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that invite. I appreciate that connection. I really sincerely do. But I do not think that I sold my judgment for it. And I do not think that even people that had massively more growth from that particular interaction, I don't think they owe their judgment for that, because that's all they have to sell on this platform. That's all they are about. And so I'm going to stick with that pretty strongly. Absolutely. And I think I'm just about done with the 5 minutes here. So I'm going to catch any super chats, and then we're going to go talk about Kim Kardashian. Crazy Cat Queen, things we all need to know. Drama is silly. Yes. Don't need drama in your life. Yes. Unless it's on the big and little screen. Man, I would like drama to be written a little bit better on both those screens. There's fun stuff to watch. House of the Dragon's pretty good. I put it like right in the middle of Game of Thrones. So not as bad as the worst, not as good as the best. So check that out. And let's see here. I like, what is the CDPR? Yes. See, we bring people together. That's the video gaming side of the Hoeg Law YouTube channel. CDPR are the people that make The Witcher, or more specifically, The Witcher 3, one of the greatest games of all time, also made Cyberpunk 2077. They're a Polish studio that announced that they're making like 7 or 9 more games in the next decade. They're opening up a US office, and we were talking about that very recently. But I did a number of videos, in particular on the Cyberpunk 2077 launch fiasco, because they made a separate statements to their investment group and to their board. All sorts of things happen. Check out those videos. It's super interesting. But that's what we were talking about with respect to CDPR. So yeah. Andy, the game maker, you mean you're not an NPC who must fall in line, a non-playable character? I will admit that sometimes I just kind of bounce up and down, like in a corner of the room, waiting for the main player character to come visit me. But that's really a me thing. Thank you for the support, Andy. I really appreciate this. Okay, Kim Kardashian, folks, that was the time. It is over now. I sincerely appreciate all the support, the super chats. We're all going to be fine. I'm going to be fine. The Hoeg family is going to be fine. I appreciate it, right? You want to send well wishes? That's awesome. You want to send nastygrams? That's cool too. But I really, really sincerely appreciate it. Let's talk about some law. I keep hitting the wrong button. That's the kind of morning it is. Kim Kardashian. Kim Kardashian, you heard of her? Anybody know of her? It's kind of famous. So this was a Business Insider article from about a week ago. This is the time period where I had no eyesight. Kim Kardashian agrees to pay the S.E.C. Now, this isn't the Southeastern Conference. We're not talking about Bama and Auburn here. This is the Securities and Exchange Commission in the United States. $1.3 million over undisclosed Instagram crypto post payments. Okay. Now, we're going to talk about this a little bit because the S.E.C. has some thoughts. And we're going to see the penalties here. These wouldn't necessarily be the same penalties for you and I, but still, watch yourself with these kinds of things. Kim Kardashian has agreed to pay $1.26 million to settle charges relating to a post about a cryptocurrency company she shared on Instagram without disclosing how much she'd been paid to do so. The reality TV star had failed to disclose that she was paid $250,000 to publish a post about EMAX tokens, a crypto asset security sold by Ethereum Max. The Securities and Exchange Commission said in a statement Monday. The post on her Instagram story from June 2021 contained a link directing her followers to the company's website. She was among many celebrities touting the token, probably not a general use of the term touting, but that's what the S.E.C. calls it. So you see it here in Business Insider. Are you guys into crypto? The post read. That's my Kim Kardashian voice. This is not financial advice, but sharing what my friends just told me about the Ethereum Max token. Now, folks, we're going to talk about disclosures here, and I think they are important. If you see a tweet like this, if you see an Instagram post that reads this way, it is paid for. It's not legal advice. It's just practical advice. And maybe there'll become a time. The fun part about disclosure laws is that they really don't apply if a reasonable person should assume something about payment or an exchange of compensation or goods in this context. So one of the things that happens is that people just get used to how these things are sold. So maybe one day you wouldn't need a disclosure here, but today is not that day. And so if you see a post like this, shields up, right? A few minutes ago, Ethereum Max burned 400 trillion tokens, literally 50% of their admin wallet, giving back to the entire Emacs community. The SEC announced Monday that Kardashian agreed to the settlement. So let's take a look at what the SEC actually has to say. They love a press release. And if they can put a celebrity in the title of the press release, by God, they're going to do it. So let's take a look at what the SEC actually says about this. They settled. The SEC's order finds that Kardashian failed to disclose that she was paid $250,000 to publish that post. And SEC Chair Gary Gensler says the following. This case is a reminder that when celebrities or influencers endorse investment opportunities, including crypto asset securities, it doesn't mean that those investment products are right for all investors. Is that really how you finish that sentence? Yes, of course, any given security is not right for all investors, but it's a weird kind of attachment to this quote that we just read because this doesn't say it's right for all investors. In fact, it asks the question, are you guys into crypto? It is so curious about that point. It asks it with 4 question marks. Now, this is completely justified, right? You have to disclose your interest in this. We'll talk about this in just a minute as it compares to the law, as well as the FTC, because that pops up more often in our neck of the woods. And yes, it definitely doesn't mean that those products are right for all investors, but it also means that you shouldn't take these things for granted anyway, right? And he gets to that point. Ms. Kardashian's case also serves as a reminder to celebrities and others that the law requires them to disclose to the public when and how much they are paid to promote investing in securities. The federal securities laws are clear that any celebrity or other individual who promotes a crypto asset security must disclose the nature, source, and amount of compensation they received in exchange for the promotion. Now, one of the things that's happening here is that the SEC has been very wishy-washy with exactly how much enforcement it has, what power it has with respect to tokenized securities. And so now we see the SEC is going to kind of push more into that regulatory environment, probably justifiably so, based on the definitions of securities, which we won't get into in this particular context. But you can check out Virtual Legality for some of those conversations. But it was at least a little bit unclear, and probably still is, exactly what authority the SEC has over these kinds of digital goods, right? Certainly when the Securities Acts were written, we didn't have a notion of a digital tokenized asset security thing. And so the SEC is constantly grappling with it, but it seems fair to note, hey, if you get paid for doing something, you should mention that you were paid to do something. Just as a rule, right? We don't even have to talk about legal advice. We don't give legal advice on this channel. This is for educational, informational purposes only. But if you get something to say something, and that's going to otherwise advantage you in some way, you should mention that, because the SEC doesn't look fondly on it, and the SEC has some big guns for penalties. Not that Kim Kardashian is going to be, destitute for losing $1 million. And we can see here how this is broken down. It's actually $260,000 for what she was paid, and then $1 million as a penalty. That's how you get to that number. The SEC is very proud of itself. The SEC also points you to the fact that they've been warning about celebrities since 2017, but notably not doing a whole lot about it, right? So when Kim Kardashian or whomever comes out with these kinds of things, it says, well, it doesn't appear that enforcement applies here, or that SEC doesn't know about these things. I have at least a certain amount of sympathy, even though, yeah, all right, you got $250,000 to tout something. You should mention it. It's not the hardest thing to do in the world, even though I think your post is pretty obvious that that's what you're doing. Celebrities and others are using social media networks to encourage the public to purchase stocks and other investments. Yep. Any celebrity or other individual who promotes a virtual token or coin that is a security must disclose the nature, scope, and amount of compensation received in exchange for the promotion. A failure to disclose this information is a violation of the anti-touting provisions of the federal securities laws. Investors should note that celebrity endorsements may appear unbiased. Has any celebrity endorsement of anything ever appeared unbiased? I ask this legitimately. If you're somebody like Kim Kardashian, which, as far as I'm concerned, is a professional influencer who has done well with the brand. I'm not trying to undersell how good the Kardashians have been with branding and selling and those kinds of things. So please don't think that I am. But for the most part, he's known as a name. He's an influencer type person. And they say, are you guys into crypto? Really? That didn't appear unbiased, but instead may be part of a paid promotion. Investment decisions should not be based solely on an endorsement by a promoter or other individuals. Folks, I can't tell you how to live your life. Not only is this not legal advice, it's not investment advice, but even if you really like a celebrity of some kind, you really dug their appearance on The Real Housewives of Whereversville, when they say, are you into crypto? Don't invest your nest egg. Figure out what you can lose. If you want to be involved, don't invest your nest egg. That's all I can say on this. Now, to talk about those anti-touting rules, we see a version of the securities rules that we have seen before. Here in F-teen USC section 77Q. Did I say F-teen? That's not a number. 15 is what I was aimed at there. 15 USC 77Q, which says, among other things, it is unlawful to do stuff with securities if you did it in a way that you obtained money or property by means of an untrue statement or a material fact, or an omission to state a material fact, such as in the regulations, how much you just got paid for this, boss, that's illegal, right? And the reason I was initially attracted to this story at all, not that I'm selling crypto. It's not really what I'm about. Although just saying crypto this many times, I suspect we might get some of those automated comments. I don't know if you've seen those on YouTube, but you get like those 25 comment strings where people are talking to each other about, man, I can't believe how much I made on crypto. Yeah, wasn't that crazy? Crypto's amazing. And then like sending you to either links or broken links about things. Don't click on those. I'll get those out of the comments as fast as I can, but I don't see them all that fast. And as you might have seen, I got a lot of comments coming in of late. And so this is very standard, and it's the notion that we have talked about with respect to securities filings on all sorts of cases in Virtual Legality and here in Hangouts and Headlines. And it also matches up with the concept that we have discussed more predominantly, not just about crypto, but about everything with respect to how you talk about things online. So the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission here in the United States, helpfully has kind of stub article here that talks about truth in advertising. Broadly, the Federal Trade Commission has the right to go and look for deceptive ads. And they also have the right to set the regulations around what is deceptive in that context. So they say, among other things, when consumers see or hear an advertisement, whether it's on the internet, radio or television, or anywhere else, federal law says that ad must be truthful, not misleading, and when appropriate, backed by scientific evidence. That's not the case here when we're talking about financial instruments, but just in general. The FTC enforces these truth in advertising laws, and it applies the same standards no matter where an ad appears, in newspapers and magazines, online, in the mail, or on billboards or buses. Now, this is just a stub article. If we were writing this as a lawyer, we'd make sure that that was not sounding like an exclusive kind of list. The FTC looks especially closely at advertising claims that can affect consumers' health or their pocketbooks, claims about food, over-the-counter drugs, dietary supplements, alcohol, tobacco, things that you put in your body, folks, and on conduct related to high-tech products and the internet. That's going to cover your kind of crypto as well. The S.E.C. does this because the S.E.C. has the big guns in terms of penalties, but Kim Kardashian also could have found herself in trouble with what any given person that puts stuff online could find themselves getting in trouble with. So if you haven't seen this before, sometimes the U.S. government tries to be hip, right? This is a fellow kids kind of document. So you see the big pictures here. Disclosures 101 for social media. You got hearts. You know, influencers love hearts. They're constantly doing that. They've got a pin. We see people pinning all the time, says the FTC. We know it. You guys love hearts and pins. We don't know why, but there we go. Do you work with brands to recommend or endorse products? I don't know. Let's see. If so, you need to comply with the law when making these recommendations. One key is to make a good disclosure of your relationship to the brand. This brochure from the FTC staff gives tips on when and how to make good disclosures. The FTC works to stop deceptive ads, and its endorsement guides go into detail about how advertisers and endorsers can stay on the right side of the law. I did not bring the endorsement guides into this. They are hugely long documents. I have covered them in prior Virtual Legality episodes, but suffice it to say, it mostly says what this is about to say. If you endorse a product through social media, your endorsement message should make it obvious when you have a relationship, what we're going to call a material connection with the brand. A material connection includes a personal, family, or employment relationship or financial relationship, such as the brand paying you or giving you free or discounted products or services. So just while we're keeping track of this at home, to the extent Kim Kardashian, which settles with the S.E.C., which without admitting guilt, that's part of the settlement process, were to look at this particular situation, the FTC and their truth in advertising laws could have a similar kind of look at it. Chances are they won't. The SEC handled this. That's securities. FTC has a limited amount of resources. They push off the specific things to the various parties that might otherwise be interested in them. But it's important to note this, that, if I, who knows, if I were to get a gaming chair, someone were to send it to me because I just thought I was cool and wanted to send me a gaming chair, and I were to just go out there and be like, man, this gaming chair is the comfortablest. You guys should check out this gaming chair. Looking at this, one of the things you would want to do is, even if they didn't give it to me specifically for endorsement, you would say, well, would a reasonable person be interested to know that I got it for free? The answer to that is yes. The answer to that is a reasonable person would want to know that the company sent it to me for free before I just was advocating it. So if I were to do a Twitter string like that, or heck, a YouTube video about this awesome gaming chair, one of the things that I would want to do is I would want to look at it and I would want to say, okay, we're going to start out with, they gave this to me for free. Sometimes you see this in articles. Sometimes you see it, and I think sometimes it's not prominent enough. A lot of these kinds of outlets like to put it at the bottom. Like to say something like, noteworthy, we got this as a free copy that was given to us by the publisher, say on Video Game Land. And I've gotten into it a little bit with the big sites on this, like IGN, right? Because IGN is a journalist outlet. And for the longest time, basically the internet journalism sector said we shouldn't have to respond to these kinds of things because people know, that we get this stuff for free and we aren't influencers. But sometimes those particular outlets do things that aren't within their own kind of normal structure. Right. So I commented on this. I can't even remember how many months ago. Maybe it was a year ago when IGN reviewed like the Disney Star Cruiser experience. And they put this big Twitter thread up about how much they liked it and things like that. And I said, wow, did you guys pay for this? That's crazy. That's awesome. It was like, no, it was given to us free. I was like, well, I mean, you should probably mention that. I'm not giving you legal advice, so do what you will. But you should probably mention that. And then they got into a whole thing about like, well, no, we're a journalistic outlet. People know that we get these things on. This was a journalistic send. I'm like, yeah, okay, but you guys don't review hotels very often. and I wouldn't know that it was free. I didn't know it was free based on your supposition. So, and we get into these kinds of conversations. The important part is the disclosure rules are basically, would a reasonable person know that you otherwise got something for this? And would they be interested in knowing that? Would that change how they value your view? And a lot of these people don't like to think that they are otherwise susceptible to being devalued, right? It's like, hey, I'm not saying your review is wrong. I'm not saying it's worthless. I would just like to know you got the chair for free. I would just like to know that Disney sent you on a $5,000 trip for free, because that is, I'm going to take that into account when you tell me how awesome the meal service is, right? And that's okay. I'm still going to read your article, man. But that's the kind of thing that we're dealing with here, and it goes from the FTC to the S.E.C. and elsewise. So as an influencer, it's your responsibility to make these disclosures. Telling your followers about these kinds of relationships is important because it helps keep your recommendations honest and truthful. It allows people to weigh the value of your endorsements. When to disclose, if you have any of those relationships. If a brand gives you free or discounted products or other perks, and then you mention one of those products, make a disclosure, even if you weren't asked to mention the product. People would be interested to know. Don't assume your followers already know about all your brand relationships. You got to do it every time. I know it's annoying, folks, but that's why you see it so often. Make disclosures, even if you think your evaluations are biased. I would hope to high heaven that everything I would ever tell you would be unbiased, but that is up to you to be able to judge, right? And I try to announce every single time when I have a relationship with anything. The very top of the Activision Blizzard saga, you'll hear me reference the fact that my brother worked at an Activision subsidiary during the top of that story. He no longer does. That's why you don't see that disclaimer anymore, but that he did at the top of that story. Keep in mind that tags, pins, likes, or similar ways of showing that you like a brand or product are endorsements. If you hashtag this chair rocks, or you put it in an Instagram tag, you still have to mention that you were paid for that, or that you got that chair for free. And so it's very interesting to look at as a story, because you do see this coming up more and more and more often. And I will tell you, influencers, people online aren't great at it. Kim Kardashian, I would classify as an influencer first and foremost. So it's possible she wasn't even thinking about this process. And certainly she's not happy about losing $1.26 million. But I would expect crypto companies and others to still use this kind of thing. And, just keep in mind, when you're on Twitter, when you're on Instagram, when you're on Facebook, wherever you see something that looks like, hey, are you guys into crypto? This is not financial advice, but crypto rocks. Check out this token. Yeah, that's probably paid. It's It's probably paid. And check to see if they put ad or sponsored or paid or whatever else they might otherwise do in those posts, because they should be. And that's an interesting game you can play on the internet, because I can assure you not everybody is. So I just wanted to talk about this, kind of a brief, light article, which works well with the other content that we've been covering today. But it goes to everything else that people that are online regularly are doing or interacting with. So Kim Kardashian is used by the S.E.C. in this case because she's a big name. They love to do that. They love to make this signaling function. And so it gets covered in places like this. And, you know, mission accomplished, S.E.C., even if I don't know that you're actually capturing the entirety of what the problem might be here, either in crypto, tokens, or from the FTC side, just in general, influencer kind of stuff. There's just too much stuff out there. So watch out for it, people. Absolutely. What do y'all think about that article? What do you think about Ms. Kardashian? What do you think about crypto? My God, we don't need to get into that. I'm sure bots have already noted that I've said crypto this many times. Let's see here. We got a new member in Jay Jones. Thank you for becoming a new member, Jay Jones. I hope you enjoy the community, the emojis, all the rest. We are happy to have you here. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. We've got, can you show the vid S.E.C. made? It's epic. I can't. This is actually a funny thing, right? So I've talked to my other colleagues on this. We generally don't use video clips here, right? And this is going to stuff like the YouTube question, right? You might ask yourself, Rick, why don't you show video clips here? And the answer is because content ID and content strikes are untrustworthy. And we try to limit the avenues that YouTube can ding us. That's part and parcel to what we're doing here. Is that something that I should have to do? No. If we were to show the S.E.C.'s video, it is not only publicly made, we'd be commenting on it. And that would be fair use in all likelihood. You'd have to actually wait until I was finished with it to make sure of that fact. But yes, that would be fair use, I would believe. And yet we don't want to give anybody vectors on this kind of stuff. So absolutely check out the video. It's at the bottom of one of these links that will be in the description to this. The S.E.C., the FTC, a lot of the agencies are trying to be hip, fellow kids. It's quite a thing. If you, I think it was Rob that I saw, I was on a panel with most recently that was thumbing through what was it? It was like the Instagram for the IRS, something along those lines, where they're doing memes, trying to say, get your tax returns in. It's pretty funny. What else we got here? I think that might be it. Oh no, we got a super sticker. Oh, let's see if we can scroll back and see what that super sticker is. Oh, it says thanks in a purple heart. I appreciate it, Daniel Winterton. Thank you for the super sticker so much. Thank you for the support. Declan says the worst thing you can do with crypto is investing in it because of an ad or endorsement. If you're going to do it, make sure you understand the technology and be skeptical of profit claims. Folks, always be skeptical of investment claims. Always, 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 always. And yeah, don't invest in something because Kim Kardashian told you to. Not investment advice, really just people advice. What could I say? I think EDB showed the S.E.C. video. If she did, absolutely go check it out over there. 100%. We all run our own channels, right? We all have different things that we do. I like to focus down on videos. If you see me comment on a video, generally speaking, I will take the transcript and I will put it on slides and we'll talk about it that way. That works for me. Other people play the video, respond to it directly, pause it, that kind of thing. That works for them. Absolutely. If EDB talked about this, I bet she did. I bet she's pretty funny at it, honestly. It's a funny video. Go check her out. Because I bet she did a good job. I don't know. It's Tuesday. She might do a video today. Yes, absolutely. That is a kind of personal preference on these kinds of things. Question: Hoeg Law, does the IRS require the gift tax to be paid on free stuff received as an influencer? I am not an accountant. No, it's not a gift, probably. So it's probably ordinary income, but my God, do I know enough to be dangerous on this. So please, please don't take that as tax advice. Please. If I had that question, I would be calling up my accountant in 2 seconds, right? So there are tax lawyers, there are accountants, there are people that have specialties that are not mine. I bet it's ordinary income. You're an influencer. You're in the job of influencing. You get something of material value. I would be willing to bet you have to schedule it. But I know enough to be dangerous. What else we got here? I think there was a comment here. Rob giggled through the video the other day. Rob showed some of it on Friday. Yeah, I bet he did. I wasn't on Friday Night Frenzy last week, I don't think. Yeah, look, I just wanted to share Hoeg and family in the chat is my happy place. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Christine. That is awesome. I appreciate it. Secret McSquirrel has a link to the S.E.C video right here. Hopefully that came through. Go check it out. 100%. EDB was very careful to pause every 2 minutes to comment and was nervous about being flagged for it. But definitely go see it. It's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? I would be nervous about it too. We don't do those videos because I just don't want to even interact with those systems so much. That's unfair. That's chilling. That's what YouTube does. But you have to know what it does. And so that's, you know, that's just the normal way of interacting as a content creator. Rob laughed and Ian was not happy. Ian reacting to taxing authorities doing anything is a funny time. So if you see Runkles on something that relates to either Canadian or US taxing authority, I recommend it. It hasn't even happened yet. It's going to be an enjoyable time because he goes full Gimlet on it. If you don't get that reference, watch Lawyers and Dragons, folks. Well, it has been a very wonderful morning with you all. I hope you had a great time here in Hangouts and Headlines. Folks, don't let the internet get you down. I promise you I won't. You want to send messages, you want to send comments, feel free, good or bad. We love it here. Reasonable minds can differ. Remember, Wednesdays are off for Hangouts and Headlines, and have an absolutely fantastic day. See you very soon.